People send me articles and videos regarding all kinds of subjects and issues on a very, very regular basis. I believe that sometimes they're doing this because they would like me to speak out regarding the matter. Lately, I've received articles and videos regarding the subject of pedophilia. Gotten this from several people, a few people. Specifically, this information has to do with the fact that there's an attempt by some, in particular some in academia, but not limited to academia, to normalize and destigmatize pedophilia. Clearly, the objective by some is to have this behavior accepted as good, healthy, normal behavior. What I have to say about the subject is actually very, very simple and straightforward. Even those who may not agree with my position will at least easily be able to understand it. Here's my position. Pedophilia is wrong. It's wrong. Like I said, simple, right? It's wrong. In this video, I'm defining pedophilia as an adult engaging in explicit sexual conversation or actual physical sexual relations with a minor. It's wrong. The biblical understanding of sexual behavior is that it is intended for a man and a woman in the context of a marriage relationship. I know. I have friends who are literally rolling their eyes right now. I get it. So be it. Here's what it says in the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 24. It says, "For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." If the Bible is correct, and I believe that it is, then pedophilia is wrong. Since pedophilia is wrong, I would also argue that the attempt to persuade people that it is good and right and healthy and normal, like I read in an article very recently about a college professor trying to make that case, that's wrong too then. To try to persuade others that something that's wrong is right would also be wrong. You know, adults are supposed to protect children. Using them for sexual pleasure is not protecting them. In pastoral counseling sessions, I have had, over the years, many people, in some ways to me, especially early on in ministry, a surprising number of people tell me that they were involved in sexual encounters with adults when they were children, when the counselee was a child. Not one person, not one, has ever described this in a positive way. Never. It was always viewed as an unwanted form of sexual abuse. And all of these people reported to me that it resulted in pain and hurt psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. They were all, in my experience, they were all negatively scarred by these encounters. And by the way, I realize that does not represent a scientifically based conclusion. That's just anecdotal evidence to me, but it is still very informative for me. These encounters were not viewed by the counselee as a form of love or helpful developmental training for a child. It was not viewed as protection from the adult. For an adult to engage in sexual relations with a child involves a person, the adult, taking advantage of someone, the child, taking advantage of someone who's not mature enough to give consent. Even if consent happened to be what made it right, it's not, but even if that made it right, the child's not mature enough to give that kind of consent. You know, frankly, because of the way our culture currently defines and really argues the case for sexual ethics, the idea of pedophilia being accepted by many people in our culture as good and healthy and normal in the fairly near-term future, people viewing it that way, even people who would consider it wrong today, this is probably almost inevitable. I'm not happy about saying such a thing, but that's clearly the direction that we're heading. I continue to pray for spiritual revival. But by the way, this is not about hating people. What I'm saying here, I don't hate anyone. I really don't. There are people who disagree with me on these issues sharply, and they think my position is terrible, and therefore they think I am terrible. I don't hate them. I don't. I am called by Jesus to love everyone. I believe that command from Jesus, and with God's help, I take that call to love other people, I take it seriously. But I also understand an important truth. And the truth is this: it is possible to love someone, genuinely love someone, and disagree with the person too. Even strongly disagree. That's possible. By the way, parents know what I'm talking about because they have to do this all the time. The issue of pedophilia, as I'm talking about it here, is about sexual ethics, and really it's about right and wrong. If God says something is wrong, then it's wrong. Even if everybody else believes it's right, even if everybody on planet Earth believes it's right, if God says it's wrong, then it's wrong. By the way, I think it might be helpful to keep this in mind. Everybody draws lines somewhere when it comes to sexual ethics and sexual behaviors. You draw lines somewhere when it comes to sexual. If you and I were to sit down and have a conversation, I could present scenarios to you, and at some point I could present a scenario that you would say, well, whoa, I draw the line there. You draw lines too. May not be in the same place as me, but you draw them. So, I draw my lines based on the truth of the Bible.